one thing I love doing is having deep conversations with people, like extremely deep. I don't mean just like, how are you feeling today, but like, what are your biggest fears? What do you constantly think about? What do you constantly try to distract yourself from? You know? Because I used to do that all the time. I used to bed rot. I used to doom scroll. I used to do it all. And just one day, I was just like, fuck this shit. I'm tired of self-loathing. I'm tired of feeling sorry for myself. I was just like, I had to be really mean to myself. But there were other days where I was like, I don't have to be mean. I can be nice. And I can be like, it's okay if you fall back into your patterns for a day, but just make sure that you don't fall back into it for a long time. But to get out of it, I had to be like a really real bitch to myself for a moment. And I had to just be like, we understand that you're feeling all of these feelings, but, staying in bed and wanting to change your past and wanting to change the people that you hurt, all of the different versions of you that got taken advantage of. I was grieving every single version of myself that I wish I could have turned back time and, with the knowledge that I have now, taken myself out of these situations. And I was just like, fuck that shit. I'm gonna get up and I don't know where I'm gonna go. I don't know who I am. Like, I spent all my life pleasing other people, never got a chance to really know who I am and understand what I like and what I don't like. It was always like, what do other people like and what do other people don't like. Everyone was above me. I, as a teenager, never spent not one moment thinking about myself. And now at 26, I'm finally like, you know what? I am the most important person in my life. The reason, the way that I feel is important. And one of the things that I love to do is have very deep conversations. And I don't mean a deep in a sense of what are your dreams? Because dreams are cool. Having dreams is amazing. Having goals is amazing. But you also have to really look at the other side of the coin and just say but what do I fear? What are my fears? I acknowledge my fears all of the time. I know who they are. I see them. I understand them. But sometimes they still have a chokehold on me. Sometimes I'm just like, I can't do that because of this. And then I start realizing I'm limiting myself. There's nobody telling me I can't do it. Literally, I have people on my side that are like, you can do anything that you put your mind to. And I believe them. I believe them so deeply because I feel like people can really see how much I try. But I don't think people really understood how deep in the darkness that I was. And so I feel like the darkness really scares people. The unknown, their fears, just waiting for them in the shadows to just grab their leg and pull you back in to your old patterns. That used to be one of my biggest fears is, what if I do go for my dreams? But what if something grabs me and takes me back to that dark place that I fought so hard to get out of? And I said, well, I won't know unless I try. I won't know if I'm strong enough to stay afloat if I don't flow back up. And so I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and flow back up. And as soon as I was up there, I was just like, what took me so long to come back up? Like, what was I, like, who was I even fighting? Like, what was I fighting? You know? Like, these inner demons are so fucking strong. Because there were moments where I was like, I'm not gonna survive this shit. I can't do this shit. And that's why I'm surprised I'm even at 26. Like, I thought at the most I was gonna make it to like, I was gonna be really happy if I at least made it to 19. That was a crazy age. Like, I was like, at 13, 14, I was like, I can't imagine myself making it to 19. Like, people have the strength to make it all the way up there, because I felt like at 19 you had everything figured out, and then everything after that was just going to be a breeze. And it felt like I was slowly letting go and like floating back to the very top. And once I made it to 19 and I started looking around, and I was just like, so age does not really define where you're going to be in life. Because for me, whenever I was a kid, I would take everything as a fact. Mainly because I didn't lie. I am still extremely, extremely blunt with everyone in my life. If I feel a certain way, I'm going to say it. Like, I was never afraid of speaking the truth, because if you didn't like the truth, then why are you around me? You know, why are we friends? Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, because I don't lie to myself. A lot of people get lost in their darkness, and the thing is, I had been there for so long that I had just started to explore. Like, I didn't feel stuck or trapped in my darkness. I knew that I wasn't where I wanted to be, but I didn't know how to get there, you know? And the thing is, I tried seeking professional help so many times. But it's like, as soon as I like started talking to someone professionally, it felt like some kind of switch just turned on, and I became a completely different person. And then later, I found out that that's masking. And to my surprise, I had been a professional masker. So anytime someone asked me about my feelings, I knew I was in the trenches. I knew I was in like the deepest, darkest moment of my life. And anytime someone tried reaching out and like helping me back up, I was like, I'm not stuck. I know I'm in my darkness. I know I want to die every single day. But the thing is that I think I'm proving my strength by not dying. I was just like, there are so many ways that I have thought of to not be here. And I was just like, and sometimes it feels so much easier to just not exist, because sometimes these feelings just get so huge that they feel like they're crushing you. And then later on I noticed, oh, so if I just talk to them, they're not going to crush me anymore. And that just became my truth. I spent so long in the darkness that I became friends with my fear, and I started just talking to her, you know? And I was just like, all of these feelings that you feel were other people's fears, were other people's insecurities, other people's limitations. Like, these limitations are not yours. These limitations of this fear of being seen it's just like, I just don't know, like, I always feel like I have to talk to people about my darkness and explain it to them, right? Because there's not a lot of people that know what it looks like. They know what, like, the surface level of darkness looks like because they look at it and then they look the other way. And for me, I looked straight into my fear and I was like, I see you. I feel you. I was like, you can still be here with me and you can see me achieving all of my goals, but you can't get in my way. You can express your fears to me, right? You can express to me the things that you feel like can go wrong. And I'm here to nurture you and let you know that that's not going to happen. You know, I always have to remind myself, like, we have so many angels and so, like, we are so divinely protected that can't even happen. That's not even in the same timeline that we're in. We have shifted timelines so many times that there are moments in time where I'm like, where the hell am I? Am I still on Earth? Because, 10 years ago, I was in a completely different spot in my life. Physically, mentally, emotionally, like, the people that know me now 10 years ago would have been like, who are you? And I would have been like, I have no idea who I am. 10 years ago me was like, how can I serve you? How can I make you feel better? And then now me is just like, I care about you, but I come first, I care about how I feel, and then later on, if I have enough energy, then I can just be like, well, how do you feel, And that's one of the reasons why I always wanted to become a therapist, was just like, I understand that your darkness can feel so overwhelming. But the more you ignore it, the bigger and the stronger it gets. It's like every single new moon, every single full moon, it's like my darkness would just, the waves would get so strong. The waves would just go super, super strong. And it felt like I was in the middle of the ocean, just drowning in all of these emotions and feeling like I didn't have any control or any breathing time. It felt like I got to breathe maybe once every 3 months. It felt like I got up to just breathe just for a second. And then another 3 months of deep darkness. And the thing is I got so comfortable in my darkness that I just sit in it. But I sit in my darkness and I'm happy. I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I'm able to look at my fears, that I'm able to look at my darkness and say, I am not afraid of you. There's no reason for me to be afraid of you. We are one. You are me, But some of these limitations that you have, you can literally let go of them. And there are times where, I had to be my own therapist and just say, let's sit down and let's feel our feelings. I was just like, it's not conventional. And maybe that's why I love alone time so much, is because it feels like, I don't know if it's true or if it's just my brain convincing me that no one will understand my darkness, that no one will understand the love that I have for my darkness. Because there was a comfortable bed and a comfortable pillow and such a soft blanket down there. Every single time, it was just so comfortable. And it felt like all of these emotions were just a weighted blanket, just trying to protect me. And they weren't trying to hold me back. And I think that's where all of my anger came from, is I was so angry at myself. I was so angry that I had convinced myself that I couldn't do certain things, that I wasn't good enough for something. And I always blamed my fear. I always blamed my darkness. I always blamed, like, well, if I just wasn't here, I could be exactly where I'm meant to be. Well, if I wasn't stuck down here, I could go for my dreams. If fear wasn't so heavy in my heart and my body, I would be successful by now. And I laugh at that now, because I was at the right place at the right time every single time. I feel like I was born to literally feel my darkness and like feel all of these like super heavy emotions. And sometimes I don't even have like the right words to explain how I feel, so I communicate with music all of the time. I always try like have people just listen to the music that I love, because the music that I love and holds such a safe space for me. And every single time I think about my darkness, there were times where I would look back with like so much guilt and so much shame. And I had so much resentment for my darkness, and I had so much like anger towards myself. Like I didn't even have anger towards anybody. You know, I was disappointed with some people in my life. You know, whenever I would ask for help at that age, I would ask for so much help. But the thing is the people around me were as lost as me, you know? And most of the people around me, they didn't look at their darkness the way that I did. I wasn't scared of my darkness. I wasn't scared of the night. I wasn't scared of like seeing something supernatural in my actual life. Like, I'm not scared of any of that. So when people talk about this darkness they feel inside of them, a huge grin just comes into my face. Like when someone's like, I'm just going through a lot of darkness right now. Like, I'm just like, please, let's have a conversation. Like, let's have a conversation about everything that you fear. Let's have a conversation of everything that makes your legs tremble. I want to talk about everything that drops you to your knees, and it makes you feel weak, and it makes you feel like you can't move. What's a thought that makes you feel like you can't breathe? And if you listen to any of the like my favorite songs, any of my like any songs that just like that I completely love, there's a huge dynamic. There's a dynamic of like positivity, because there were moments in time where it felt like I was dancing with angels, right? And I was just dancing with love. And I think at those moments I was just loving myself unconditionally. And I didn't even notice that I was like, just the love I was giving to myself was the thing that was keeping me afloat. I always felt like the more I do for others, the more fulfilled I'm going to feel. And I feel like, yes, you can feel fulfilled if you do things for others, but only if you take care of yourself first. And that was never taught to me. You know, as a kid, it was always like, no, you gotta do for other people. do. You gotta, like, do things for other people. in order for you to feel happy. And if they don't appreciate it, then you have to get angry at them, right? Like, this was that whole, like, very, very toxic mindset of mine. And that's where I realized that, like, man, I was hurting so many people because I was giving them so much love and I was expecting that same love in return. But the thing is that when you plant love into somebody, when you give love to somebody, you give it to them, but you don't expect anything back. And that's how I am now. I'm like, I love you unconditionally because you're here, not because you can provide anything for me. You know, like, I love you and I love that you're part of my life. But I hope you understand that if you want to be part of my life, we're going to have to slowly dissect things that make you feel uncomfortable. And the thing is that's why I love when people have boundaries. I love that. Because when we start talking about something really deep, you know, sometimes people don't know how to swim, and I'm not going to throw them out to the deep end, right? Like, I'm not going to be like, well, let's expose all your fears and let's go all the way, like, super, super deep, right? But, like, let's just acknowledge that we have fears. You know, let's acknowledge that we don't always feel good. Let's acknowledge that sometimes we're in that darkness and we have no idea what to do. You know, it's okay to be lost. I feel like sometimes we try to do these, like, facades, you know, these facades for other people. And I don't think sometimes we don't do it intentionally, but obviously there's times where we do it intentionally, right? But I think it's really deep down in your core when you can't be honest with someone that you're going through something really dark. It's mainly because you feel like they won't be able to handle it. You think they might not understand. You might think that they might not want to talk about it, right? And for me, that's my favorite thing to talk about. Like, yes, I love talking about signs, right? I love talking about seeing angel numbers, about seeing rainbows, about seeing birds, about seeing miracles. I love talking about that. I love experiencing it. I love sharing those moments. But I also want to sit in your I want to sit in your darkness for a moment. I sat through mine, and it felt like I was doing it alone. But in reality, it's like I had so much support. Did I have, like, earthly support, like human support? No. I felt like humans, while I was at that age, didn't feel like I could feel these deep emotions. But the truth is that, like, you have to think about it. I was 13, 14 at this age. I feel like these are the most vital ages. Like, if you have a child at that age, trust me, I didn't want to speak about these emotions, right? And you don't have to make them speak to you about these emotions, but at least let them know that you're there. At least let them know, like, if things get too heavy, if you get too tired, I have this comfortable bed for you. I've got you. I'm here to take care of you. I'm here to love you. And I wish that's what I was hearing at that age. I wish that's what I was hearing of, you're tired, instead of saying, how are you tired? You have no bills, you have no responsibilities. When they don't see that just because you don't have bills and just because you don't have, like, specific adult responsibilities doesn't mean that you have no right to be in your darkness. It's like, I love the sun. I love sunny days. But one of my favorite things is rainy days, cloudy days, clear night skies where you can see every single star. New moons when the sky is completely pitched black. And you can see everything where there's no light pollution. There's times where I was like, I wish I could meet people out, like, who want to cry as much as me. Because one of my favorite things to do is cry. I love crying. I love crying when I'm happy. I love crying when I'm mad. I love crying when I'm just like every single emotion. I love to cry. Because for a split moment, I remember that I wasn't even supposed to make it this far. You know, for a split moment, I think to myself, we never knew what life was going to be like past 19. Past any age, you know, from anything past 16 was a miracle for me. So I take every single day as a blessing because I remind myself that I wasn't supposed to be here. Every single day I remind myself. And sometimes the darkness, even though I sit in my darkness, even though I look at all of my fears, and sometimes, yeah, that's one of my things, is I'm very addicted to my darkness. I am extremely addicted to my darkness. If my body feels just any tiny amount of like sadness, any tiny amount of anger, I want to dive deep into why I feel this sadness. I want to dive deep into why I feel this anger. Like what's triggering me? I love looking at my triggers, and I love looking at other people's triggers as well. And anytime I see someone get triggered by anything, I try to just be like, well, let's dive deep. And then I forget that, like, to function as a human being, right? To literally function as a human being and, like, pay your bills and, like, go to work every single day, you're basically put into this position of, I don't have the time to feel my feelings. I have to keep going. I have to go to work. I have to make money to pay for my bills. I have to keep going to pay my bills. I have to keep going, right? And I'm not saying that, like, I'm in the boat where, like, I'm swimming in money, right? Let's be completely honest here. Like, I can't keep a job to save my life. Because if I don't like what I'm doing, I feel like I'm betraying myself every single time I go into a job that I don't like. It feels like I'm betraying myself. It feels like I'm slowly stabbing myself, right? It feels like I'm slowly just, like, hurting myself and just being like, well, I don't care if you don't like this job. We have to keep going, right? When all around me I keep getting signs of, we're going to take care of you. Everything is going to be okay. And there's times where I'm just like, fuck it. I'm gonna flow, and I'm just going to just be like, let's feel everything. Show me all of my darkness. And then, like, I don't think we realize that, like, going into our darkness, feeling these extremely deep emotions, not only, like, tire us, like, emotionally, right? But they also tire you energetically. And if they tire you energetically, you're going to feel that in your physical body. And that's why I'm saying, like, I wish there was a system, right, to just break out of this system and say, I don't want to continue this cycle of working. Like, what are we working towards? You know, like, sometimes I always ask myself, like, what are we working towards? Why am I at this job that I hate? To just pay my bills and die? Like, that's literally, like, all I'm here for, is just to hope that one day I can retire and not have to work? Like, is that really, like, the end goal? Sometimes I always say, like, so we have to do this, right? So we have to go through this uncomfortable feeling all of our life? How do we get out of the system? How do we get out of this, like, out of this cycle? I've been asking myself that since I was a young kid. Like, how can we get out of this cycle? Because I felt the same way going to school. Like, I was like, I don't want to go to school. I'm not learning anything. I'm just learning to be obedient and not think for myself. And yes, there were moments in time where, like, school was, like, very educational, and I was like, I really love this. And there are other moments where they expect every single person that's sitting in that classroom to be exactly the same, to be quiet, to learn all of this information, and then be able to prove it on a piece of paper. And then if you can't prove it on a piece of paper, then you're not good enough, basically, right? Because if you think about it, they treated smart kids, right? They treated the most obedient kids the best. Not even thinking of, like, what you're going through at home. Not ever thinking of, like, every single kid that's sitting here is going through something, right? They also have a life outside of this. Outside of school, they have a life. They have feelings, they have fears, they have a darkness that it feels like they can't escape. And we're more worried about them passing this test. Like, I feel like school should be like, if you don't pass the test, it's not going to make you feel like you ruined your future because you can't take this test. But it's like, yes, math and all of these things are very important, right? Like, learning math and stuff. But I feel like we should just lift the pressure up a little bit, right? Just to end the cycle of, if I'm not obedient, if I don't follow these rules, and it's like, I'm still learning how to break out of this cycle. I keep asking the universe every single day, show me that it gets better. Show me that I'm still supported. Show me that I'm still supported if I break this cycle. Because I know breaking this cycle is not going to be easy. Showing people that this end goal of wanting more money isn't, like, we don't want more money. We just want more freedom. We want more time with our families. We want more time doing things that we love. I don't care if I have $1 million in my bank account, but can I just sit and chill? Like, I feel like people believe that more money brings you more problems. But in reality, it's like, you're bringing those problems to you by saying, well, now I'm having more money. Well, now I want more. Right now I want more materialistic shit. And there's nothing wrong with wanting materialistic stuff. But don't depend on it, right? Don't depend, and don't say like, well, whenever I go to the mall, that's the only time I'm happy. Or whenever I'm buying things, that's the only time I'm happy. It's like, that can't be real, right? It can't be true. You should be happy sitting still and being in the present moment. Like, I love just sitting back here and like seeing, and I'm not saying that like everyone has to do this, right? But I'm saying it for the people that don't want to be in this cycle anymore. For people who feel like they can't survive in this cycle anymore. Because I sure in hell believe that I don't want to be part of this cycle. Because I am not a materialistic person. I love everything and I'm extremely grateful for everything that I have in my life. And I will continue to be that person. And I know that if I ever lose myself, the people I have around me will always pick me up, will always dust me off if I fall and just be like, come on, let's keep going. And that's why I deeply, deeply love my life now, because like, yes, I have a small circle, but I'm extremely grateful for every single person in my life. You know, I'm extremely grateful for every single person that I have in my life. And yes, there's times where I get lost. There's times where I feel like this cycle's never going to end. And I know there's some people that just don't mind working, and they don't see work as like this like betrayer, like betray to themselves. But I feel like my body just doesn't know how long it can do this. My body's like, I'm not a robot. I can't do this every single day. I can't give 100% every single area of my life. If I spend 8 hours doing something that I don't like, just because I know it's going to pay my bills. But I honestly feel like that's also a limitation that we put on ourselves. We tell ourselves, I have to work at this job in order to pay my bills, right? When you could be like, what's something I truly love to do? Maybe that can pay my bills. We live in this different timeline where you can literally be so spontaneous and make music, right? Make a video. Make songs. Make art. Like, do these certain things and find a community of people that also love to do these things. And this community will literally want you to do these things. And so, boom, there you go. Now you're getting paid for doing something that you love. There's people that love to taste foods. And what do? Maybe they apply to a company where they just taste foods. Well, maybe they start their YouTube channel of trying different brands, trying different foods, you know? And it's like, everyone has their niche, and all you have to do is find your niche. And I know it's easier said than done, especially for me. Sometimes I'm like, maybe there isn't a niche for me. But then I realize, oh yes, there is a niche for me. I love going deep into my darkness, and I'm like, maybe I can help other people slowly take these steps into their darkness, right? And not feel like they're drowning. Because I'm not saying like jump off the deep end and like face your emotions head on. I'm just saying, like, one step at a time. Taking that one step and acknowledging. Maybe these fears, maybe these limitations aren't mine. Maybe they're a lot easier to let go of than I think. Because I feel like sometimes we hold on to a limitation because it feels familiar. Sometimes I hold on to limitations because that's something, my father believed. That's something my mother believed. And you start realizing that the people that you looked up to the most as a kid ended up being the people that hurt you the most. And they didn't mean to do this, right? But they grew up in a different time where you weren't able to express yourself, where you weren't able to be yourself, where you were punished for being who you wanted to be, where you were punished for expressing your true emotions. And the thing is, we're entering a different time where you can completely express your emotions, and there's just so much noise going on that no one will notice that you're expressing your fears. Like, you've got this, and I believe in you. I believe that you can face anything. And I'm really, really hoping that I can create these, videos. I can create these audio files. And I'm really, really hoping that, like, I can hold someone's hand going into the darkness and just saying, like, you're not alone. Even if I'm here physically or non-physically, I'm always going to be here. Because the truth is that there are so many different versions of you that you can exist in one place, more than one place at a time. And I know that's very confusing. But for someone who has done, I test the limits of psychedelics, okay? And the thing is the more you test it, the more confused you get. And the more you can't handle old cycles, the more you can't handle how things are moving in society, the more that you can't physically handle this. So I don't recommend anyone to do that. I don't recommend anyone to do that, right? But the thing is that, I know that as much as I've dove into the deep end, I'm still taking small baby steps. I'm still noticing the limitations that I have. I'm still having conversations with parts of me that scare me. And they only scare me because I'm getting, told that I have so much power, and I'm just like, how? Where is this going to come from, right? But the thing is that I think I feel it. I feel all of this power, all of this security, all of this, every single time I let go of one of my fears, I take a step forward. And the thing is that, I always tell myself, well, I don't want to take the wrong step. I don't want to go in the wrong direction, because I take a step, but I can't see what's in front of me. And there had been times where I would take a step and it felt like there were so many choices, so many ways I could go. And I always told myself, I just don't want to go the wrong way. I want to make sure that I'm going the right way. I want to make sure that I'm not going crazy. There's moments in time where you lose track of time. Especially for me, I still don't understand the concept of time, which seems really weird, me being a 26-year-old adult. Time just does not exist for me. when I'm like, how is it May already? Like, how is it this time already? How am I this old already? Like, how has time passed so fast? And I start realizing it's because I'm doing so much inner work. It's because I'm going so deep that it feels like that I'm in this different timeline where 1 hour, right? 1 hour in this, deepness inside of me is like 8 hours in the real world, right? And for me, this is completely worth it. Finding out who I am is exactly what I want to be doing. Helping other people take that first step. Helping other people realize that this isn't the life that we were meant to live. This isn't the life we have to live. Like, whose rules are we listening to? When our inner voice is telling us to go another way, why are we betraying ourselves and out of fear going down the same path that has never led us to happiness? I hope I can find a community of people that also think like me, right? Who also dive so deeply into their feelings and say, yeah, I trust myself, right? But I also trust the people around me to notice when I've gone too far, right? And I have amazing people in my life that I can count on. I don't have to say a single word, and they can notice when I've gone too far, and they're like, just take my hand and let's get back into reality, right? And it's so crazy because every single time I come back into reality, it feels like something is changing, right? But it's so scary because it's like, who knows what's going on? Who knows if this is actually happening? Who knows if this inner work is actually helping? I feel like parts of me feels like this is sort of like religion, when it's like people believe in God, right? And say, well, if I am your servant, right? If I trust every single word in this book, right? If I trust every single thing that I'm learning about my religion, it's going to take me down the right path, right? I feel like it's the same. I'm going through the same thing because I have people guiding me, right? I have non-human entities guiding me, right? Love and light entities guiding me, and I trust them with my entire life. I trust them with my entire soul because my heart knows this is the right path. But then being in this crossroads of, I want to live the life that I know I deserve, but I don't know what that's going to look like. But I know the way that I want to feel. I know how I want it to feel. I know what I don't want, right? I know I don't want to continue in this cycle of dread, of, well, I have to go and work to pay these bills, right? But the thing is that for me, whenever I think of work, I think of doing something I don't like doing. And for me, I love talking, I love diving deep. And I'm hoping that one day this can be my job of, how deep can we go? But it also takes a lot of trust. It also takes, because I feel like we have, obviously there's some things that you want people to have certifications for, right? To prove that, okay, they have a clean kitchen. right? But then you're also trusting that they have these certifications, but they have to stay true, right? Are they doing this just for the money, or are they doing this because they love it? Because you can definitely tell when there's a nurse that works in a hospital. You can tell the nurses, the teachers, the police officers, the therapists, the doctors. You can tell when they love what they do. And you can also tell who's in it just for the money. And I can tell you from experience that there's more people in these fields for the money than, and for the corruption, for power, than there is for people who actually love and enjoy it and want to see people thrive. And I feel like if you pay a little bit more attention to your outer world, you'll start noticing all of the corruption. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the timer right now on the clock. I love seeing that time. And the thing is that, like, I'm having this tug of war between what society feels like what you should be doing at this age, how your life should look at this age, from my angelic beings, from all of this love that I have, all of this inner guidance that I have is telling me you are exactly where you're meant to be. And if you continue doing what you love, if you continue to do this inner work, right? Because this inner work, I feel like it may not be for everyone in this lifetime. Everyone is learning something different in their lifetimes, right? We're all different age souls. I believe that I am a very old soul. And I feel like I'm just remembering that this system isn't something, this cycle of systems isn't something that we want to live through, right? Because this is a new age. The age of Aquarius, the age of weirdness, the age of being yourself, the age of expressing who you are, even if there's a little fear inside of you. Do things with a little bit of fear. Do things when you have this knot in your throat. Say things even though you don't feel like you have the strength to do. Do things you love even if you feel like you're betraying everyone around you. Stay true to yourself and you're going to find your community. And that's another deep dive into my inner mind. And I'm trusting that my angels like my angels and the universe will send this to somebody, right? Or will have someone like really resonate with this and just say like, I'm not alone, right? Like this deep feeling of being stuck in this cycle that feels bigger than anything you can even explain. Like, we can power through these illusions. We can power through this fear. We can power through. And literally, like, we don't need, like, the entire world to be on our side to take down these systems, right? Because if we do it for ourselves, because, like, I'm not doing this with the mindset of how much money can this bring me. I'm doing this with the mindset of like, how many people can I get to realize that we're living in a simulation? How many people can I help remember that you are so powerful. You are way more powerful than you believe, you know? And I'm hoping that people truly realize that I don't have to do this anymore. I don't have to please other people anymore. I can fully dedicate my entire life to myself. And then you, by dedicating your entire life to you, you will want to dedicate so much time to others as well. And maybe in this lifetime, you are meant to be completely selfish. Maybe in this lifetime, you were meant to feel this pain. Because if you think about it, we always think that we have 100 years, right? Because people always say, well, people averagely die. Like, even like the average death rate is not 100 years old. I feel like, I want to say like the average death rate, like the average, like, age that you can get to is like, at the most, like 75, 80 maybe, 80, 85. A lot of people in my life have made it that far, right? But it feels like, and I'm not here to like scare anybody, right? I'm not here to like put any fear into people, but it feels like the older generation makes it to 80s, into their 80s, right? And it feels like this new generation, we're lucky if we see our 50s. And I don't think it's like a health reasoning that we're not going to be able to see our 50s. It's just like most of us will die as robots. Most of us will die as slaves to this system, to this perpetual cycle of having no goal, right? And the thing is that we can be part of this cycle. We can work, but we're gonna have moments of, we're gonna go on vacation and forget about this for a week, because even a week every 3 months of being able to just like sit still and be in the present moment, right? It's exactly what every human being desires to feel, desires for the whole world just to stop for a moment. And I think vacations, I think hangout times, I think smoke sessions, I think deep conversations are going to be that oxygen mask for us. And to be like, we're gonna make it. I don't know how we're gonna make it, but we're gonna make it. How is everything gonna work out? I have no idea. But we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it out of here. And do I wish to make it out of this system, out of this perpetual cycle with everyone I have in my life right now? Yes. Honestly, to be honest, I'm hoping and praying that everyone I have in my life can get out of this cycle. But at the same time, I have to remind myself, sometimes that's just not possible. You want to save everybody, but you can't save everybody. They have to save themselves first. They have to acknowledge that they don't want to live in this system. And I feel like some people think, well, if I acknowledge that, then I'm not going to want to do it. Well, baby, yes, that's exactly what's going to happen. Is if you acknowledge you don't want to do this, you're not going to want to do it. But the more you figure out that this isn't what I want to do, the more that you can figure out is, what do I want to do? For me, I just want to sit in this darkness. But the more I sit in my darkness, the more I can sit in yours. And I always thought, I want to have a deep conversation with every single person in my life, with every single person that I encounter. And I was like, but how? And I started realizing, you know what? I can just make videos. I can just make a podcast of diving deep. Sorry, my cats are out here sitting and chilling with me. So they're jumping and being crazy, but for moments, just give yourself the grace. Don't be so angry with yourself when you realize that you don't have to be in this cycle, that there's a way out. Is it going to happen overnight? Unfortunately, no, it's not. Because I've been in this cycle for 20-something years. Do I wish it could happen overnight? Do I wish that I could be living by the ocean with not one single worry inside of my head? Oh yeah, 100%. I wish I could just be sitting next to the beach every single day. I love you so very much. Please keep having grace with yourself. And just know that this isn't an easy path. This isn't an easy path, but it definitely may help as a shortcut. It may help you just go across and not see your darkness as this horrible thing. It may bring some light into your life. Will it be easy? Will it be comfortable? No, it won't be. It's not comfortable. It's not easy. It's not a smooth ride. Sometimes you feel like you're drowning, but you have to make sure that the people around you can help you when you're drowning, the same way that you'll be with them when they're drowning. I love you. I'm sending you so much love and light. And I know we're going to be able to get out of this cycle. I know that we're going to wake up one day and we're going to be living our dream life. We're going to be spending more time with our family. We're going to be spending more time with friends and having fun and enjoying life. It's not just going to be just a week that we're going to be able to do this. It's going to be a lifetime of being able to just love your life so deeply. And you're going to free yourself. I love you. Bye.